Last year, I discovered that Orange County actually has a theater community more so than just a handful of pockets. Today, I get to talk to the founding artistic director of the Larking House, Lizzy McCabe. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Listen, I'm looking forward to finding out more about the Larking House. I know we got a show coming up at the end of March called The Party Clown, a new work by Olivia Carter, and it's directed by Coleman Blue Summers. And I believe that's his full name. It's not just Coleman Blue this summer. So I just wanted to make sure on that.
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take us through the whole Larking House. How did you guys come up with this? I heard that you guys perform out of like a small garage. Like, fill me in on the details.
Yeah. So the Larking House is that so this year, 2025, the Larking House will be turning 5 years old in September. But when we originally started the company, we kind of founded it in the heat of the pandemic. So we originally started out as an online company, primarily on Zoom. We had a couple of programs that we were running for brand new plays and emerging playwrights called our playwrights intensives, and it's still a program that we run currently. So myself and four of my colleagues got together over the summer of 2020 when everybody was trapped inside, and we kind of put our heads together to figure out, okay, well, how do we combat this issue of like live theater not being live and not being around because we're all stuck indoors, and how do we continue to practice our craft in the midst of this kind of like global event that's kind of taking over everybody's life. So we came up with, it was originally called Garage Theater Ensemble. We have since changed the name. We decided to kind of move, especially as things started to kind of reemerge in person again. We wanted to open up our options. And in the summer of, I believe, 2021 is when or maybe it was 2022. I cannot remember if I'm being totally honest, but one of the summers previously, we reemerged, we rebranded, changed our logo, adjusted our mission a little bit, and changed our name and came up with the Larking House. We also restructured our leadership a little bit. That's got when I kind of got moved into the sole artistic director position. And then I run the company with Matthew Hayashi, who's our managing director, and Tony Sanchez, who is our technical director, and both of them are founders of the Larking House as well. So, yeah, things kind of we kind of ran with this idea as we were, trying to build out what the company would look like and what our programming would kind of entail as we got older. And it's really tough these days, as any business owner will tell you, the overhead and just the cost of running a business in Orange County specifically, with like a brick and mortar operation, is really tough. And so we kind of just worked with the space that we had available to us, which was the three-car garage of a house. And we didn't really know if it would work when we first kind of pitched the idea. The first thing that we ever did in there was an improv show called Garage Arena Improv, where we did like a little bit of a competition, and it was a one night event. We invited 40 people to come and sit in the garage and watch improv, and we sold it out, and everybody loved it. And we kind of after that night, we kind of were like, okay, like maybe this could work. Like it's kind of a crazy idea, but it seems like something that people are really on board with. And so from there, we had our first kind of full-fledged performance called our Speakeasy series. We ran that over one weekend in the spring, and crammed 27 people into the garage to watch a 3 hour show, and people loved it. They raved about it. They were like, this is so fresh and so exciting, and we can't wait to see what you all do next. And since then, the Larking House has kind of become like a little bit more well known in the community. So we're a member of the Orange County Theater Guild. I'm also a board member for the Orange County Theater Guild, and an elected board member. And this year, which is really exciting, we were actually nominated for 4 Orange County Theater Guild awards. Members of our company were nominated for the work that they've done on various shows that we had put up. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey. We primarily produce um, new works and classics reimagined. Our mission is, or our kind of mantra is, that we are home for emerging artists. So we are dedicated to providing a space that is safe, challenging, and artistically collaborative for people to come and exercise their craft. In a way that kind of fosters community and gives space for people to like figure out what they're doing with their lives. So, yeah.
Nice. What was the catalyst to get you to start your own theater company? Because there are a couple of improv houses within Orange County, specifically South Orange County, and those are the ones I'm familiar with, are South Orange County. But you know, you guys are over in the Anaheim area, and what was like the catalyst that's like, hey, we need to fill a void that's missing here?
I think, I mean, the main thing when we initially formed the company, I think the main thing that we were looking for was opportunity for people like us, right? We were all kind of in a funky space. We were all graduated from Cal State Fullerton College, and there's kind of like this weird lull after you graduate from college, especially with like an arts degree, where you just don't really know what you're supposed to be doing. And there's so many avenues for you to take that it can feel a bit overwhelming. And so we were all more or less looking for a place where, we could plant our feet, uh, you know, kind of hone our skills a little bit, build some community and give ourselves a little bit of footing in the professional world. So that's kind of where we were all coming from. We were all also just like everybody kind of, I think there's a lot of people that had that mindset during COVID where they were like, we just got to do something about this. So I think that was kind of the catalyst for what kind of spurred and created Garage Theater Ensemble. Now, the Larking House specifically, and I think of them, even though they're kind of the same entity, I do kind of think of them as two different entities in some way, shape, or form. I think the Larking House is a lot more focused on just creating space for people who are passionate about theater and who want to exercise their artistry and their passion to come and kind of engage and commune with other people who want that as well. Um, so yeah, it really was born out of a desire to have community and a desire to foster kind of like a crazy little challenging artistic space for people to come and just do like crazy, weird, super punk rock art. I don't know.
No, I
Yeah.
dig it. Well, I learned about the Larking House through your marketing manager, Genevieve, when she was in a play at the unfortunately now closed Wayward Artists called Bird Brain. And
Hmm.
she's like, oh, if you like this, you got to check us out over there. So I was like, all right. And we've been trying to make this happen, and we finally got it to. So I'm thrilled with that. Now that we've lost the Wayward Artists Theater, unfortunately, how is Larking House going to help fill that void as well?
I think that, Wayward, first of all, I want to say that losing the wayward artist it has in this community, losing the wayward artist, it's such a I'm being dramatic, but it's like it feels like such a tragedy because Wayward was really doing all of the legwork to kind of reintroduce bold and in your face and intimate theater back into, or at all. I don't even know if it existed before, but kind of introduced it into the Orange County theater scene in a lot of ways. I think the Chance Theater also has kind of paved the way for that. And it was really unfortunate that Wayward, you know, had to unfortunately bow out of its journey. And I don't want to say like, oh, now the Larking House kind of gets to step into its light. I think the Larking House fills a different need, but I think it kind of sits tangentially to the need that the Wayward Artist was filling, in a sense. People are craving intimacy in an increasingly distant world. And I think that the mode in which we operate at the Larking House, having the actors be so close to you, having the door shut behind you and not really being able to like, not necessarily being able to leave, but like kind of being in a space so close to everybody around you and like experiencing the audience aspect of theater in a different way. Is something that makes us really special. But you know, we do have big shoes to fill in that way. And a lot of people, it's kind of crazy because after Wayward closed, I had so many people reach out to me and be like, okay, so what is the Larking House? I'm gonna have to go to a Larking House show to get my fill of like this crazy intimate, you know, artistic thing that I need in my life. And I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, that's a lot of pressure. But I think that, you know, as we continue to grow as an organization, I think that we're up for the challenge. I think that we have an amazing cohort of individuals that are all so passionate and just wildly talented that are able to kind of meet that need for the community. So I'm really excited to see what ends up happening and also, you know, want to express how grateful we have been and were for Wayward because they not only, you know, kind of paved the way for us in that sense, but they also were a huge support system for us. You know, we did a show at Grand Central a couple years ago, and Craig Tyrrell, the artistic director, before because Craig stepped away in the last year of Wayward, but even Sydney Fitzgerald, and Michael Martinez Hamilton, all three of them were and are. They continue to be huge supporters of the Larking House and what our mission is. And it's just really, and we have that kind of community support all over Orange County. I'm like all over Orange County, like me specifically. I work also at part-time over at the Curtis Theater. I work for Arts and Learning Conservatory in Costa Mesa. I'm on the Orange County Theater Guild board, like I said earlier. You know, and also the Larking House does shows over at the Chance. We have a really great partnership with them over there. So, you know, I have a lot of roots down at Fullerton College and Santa Ana College and Cal State Fullerton and all over the place. So it's really we have like a really great community support, but Wayward really kind of led the charge as far as that support goes. So we're gonna miss them dearly. And we can only hope to fill that void for the community.
Right. Well, we're looking forward to what you have coming up and how everything's come about for you. You know, the new show that's coming out, I believe it debuts, let me double check on this, March 27th, The Party Clown. Olivia Carter is the writer of this. Was this developed at the Larking House? Was this something that Olivia brought to you? How did this all come about?
Yeah, the Party Clown was actually a play that was submitted to us in one of the earlier iterations of our playwrights intensive. So I think it was the second or third round of plays. So the playwrights intensive program that we have is a play development program, and essentially it started off fully remote. We open up submissions to any playwright in the world that wants to submit their play to us with very few parameters, if I'm being totally honest. So we get crazy amounts of submissions. I think this last year in 2025, we had 750 plays submitted to us to workshop. So it's become kind of, and playwrights have kind of told me, that the program and what we offer it has become a little bit of a white whale for people. I think that I'm gonna take that term directly from a playwright that related to me, which is really exciting because we're just very passionate about producing new work. Olivia's play, The Party Clown, is a piece that we took and developed over the course of a week remotely when it was submitted to us originally. And it's a piece that we really loved. It's kind of a one-woman show in a sense. There's other characters and other actors involved in it, but it's really helmed by this one character whose name is Her. That's all we know her by is Her. And she's throwing a party for herself in the wake of a recent abortion that she has had. And the play really touches on some topical and very, very relevant um themes that I think we'll see how our audiences react to these things. I think it's an important, incredibly important piece of theater for us to produce right now. It's incredibly funny. And Olivia herself is a stand-up comedian. And the character in the play is kind of emblematic of a stand-up comedian in a lot of ways as well. So yeah, it's a really bold piece of theater that I'm really excited to produce. Honestly, we have an amazing team of artists that are working on it. Coleman Blue Summers is an actor that I have worked with pretty closely over the last 10 years who is throwing his directing hat on for this show. And he is an incredibly gifted comedic actor and also just actor all around. He was just recently Brutus in our production of The Tragedy of Julius Caesar. And I'm really excited to be working closely with him on this project. So I think it's a new work that is desperately needed right now, especially given the nature of the world as a whole.
Well, it's going to be an interesting watch, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Take us through some of the other aspects. You have your Speakeasy series, your sustained release, parts and pieces, etc. Like, how do we come about with what goes into when you're going to produce something?
So all of those things, so sustained release, parts and pieces, weirdo or make nice, as we know them, all of those are plays that are original pieces that we have produced here at the Larking House. A lot of them are world premieres. And essentially the Playwrights Intensive kind of acts as, and we have been developing it over time, kind of acts as like a feeder into the works that we're looking to produce. The Party Clown, like I said, was a piece that was sent to us in the Playwrights Intensive process. We also last year produced Abyss, which is actually written by one of our residents, but was originally submitted to us and workshopped in the very first iteration of our Playwrights Intensive process. So I like to think that we are kind of following in the stead of programs like Steppenwolf and also kind of looking at like uh Circle Theater Group. I think Circle Group Theater, I can't remember Circle Rep. So sorry. Circle Rep, which was kind of a hub for new plays a while back in New York. And just kind of I think that Orange County specifically, and also just Southern California as a whole, desperately needs to be exposed to new plays. And not just new plays that are written for a geriatric audience, new plays that are written for people like me, for people like you, for people that are typically going to be turned off by the same old by the same old, the same old Oklahoma, the same old Our Town. Like, not that those plays aren't great, not that those shows aren't things that people want to see, but we want to see something else. Like, we want to see evocative, bold art that makes us sad, that makes us angry, that makes us cry, that makes us laugh. Like, we want to see and experience all the ranges of emotion in those things. And so pieces like, Sustained Release, Parts and Pieces, Weirdo, and The Party Clown are all kind of included in the efforts of us trying to uplift new work. We also do, we this year for our season, we produced A Midsummer Night's Dream earlier or late in 2024, but earlier in our season. And that was, we had not tackled a Shakespeare piece before. We did do Tartuffe earlier in 2024, I think in January, February. So we've kind of jumped into some classics. We did The Importance of Being Earnest in the Backyard during the summer a couple years
I was
ago.
just gonna ask you about the summer stuff. Like, do you do it in the driveway since the rest of the stuff is in the garage, and you just cleared it up for me and being in the backyard?
Yeah, we've only done one iteration of that idea. It was some people, you know what? I think our audiences really enjoyed it. It was really hot back there. It was very hot. We're trying right now because typically, I mean, we can't be in the garage in the summertime, but right now we're kind of looking for avenues to produce work in the summer so that we don't really have like a dark period. Um, and and we're in talks with some venues and some potential partners right now. So when all of those things get finalized, I'll reach out and let you know.
I appreciate that. And are you also gonna do like stand-up comedy shows and stuff like that as well?
So maybe we don't really, we're primarily a theater company. We do have a really great improv group called Party Foul. That they're very, very funny. It's this really amazing group of artists that came together pretty much as like improv beginners in a lot of ways, varying degrees of experience with improv. It's helmed by Sydney Aaron Aptaker, who is another incredible actor and just theater artist. And Sydney has kind of taken this like ragtag group of people and created something really special. Almost all of the people who are involved in Party Foul are queer in some way, shape, or form. And they're all just like, it's just a really great group of individuals who are just so incredibly funny. And so we do have shows running for Party Foul once a month right now. You can check out our Instagram for more information on that. I think the next one we have coming up is the St. Patrick's Day show. So.
Yeah. And so as things progress and theater houses are growing, they're coming, they're going. Unfortunately, like we said, we lost the Wayward Artist, but we do have you guys, we have Chance, we have so many others that are in here. Curtis, I just got a hold of them. I'm going to be covering some of their stuff in the near future. The Phantom Project, I think they're doing James and the Giant Peach, so there really is a lot going on. Maverick Theater does some great stuff as well, you know. And yet, from what I've noticed and speaking with Shinshin at Chance, is that you guys are very much willing to work with each other instead of against each other, which is something that's quite refreshing because I see too many people creating unnecessary rivalries.
Yeah, are you talking about the Larking House and the Chance specifically?
Well, just in general, because like the way when I talk to Shinshin, he's like, "Oh, I know this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy," and I'll put you in contact with them.
Mhm.
So it's great that like you guys, like you and Chance, have your relationship, but to see that there's this openness of willing to connect with other theaters as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody, there's like, it turns out that there's really no like clear blueprint as far as like how to start a theater company. Everybody does it differently. It's people, and there's so many different like avenues to go down to start. Um, I think that, I agree with you. I think it's really refreshing to know that there's like a really solid community out there that people are willing to like share resources and lend a hand and like, hey, I know a guy who can help you with this. Oh, hey, like I have a rug that I can lend to you. Oh, we have, do you know an actor? Like it, I think COVID and like quarantine and all of the, I mean, there was a lot of theaters that got taken out during quarantine. I mean, Stage Door Rep, unfortunately, was one that we lost. Modeska Playhouse was another one that took a big hit. There's several places that lost their space. Stages lost their space over in Fullerton, which was a theater that, which technically, like, not technically, Stages is still around. They're just operating as a separate entity from like an actual brick and mortar place, and they do work over at the Curtis. Um, and there's a lot of like kind of intermingling of companies right now too. Partnerships are a great way to kind of share the wealth in that sense, is what I've found, because we have partnerships with a couple different entities, the Chance being one, like I said earlier. And then we also, coming up in the fall, actually have a partnership that we're pursuing with the Curtis Theater. And we will be doing a nice, hefty production that I'm not going to announce publicly just yet. But we will be doing a very cool production there in the fall. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really nice to be a part of a community that's so willing to uplift each other in pursuit of like keeping this thing alive and like fostering something special. The Orange County Theater Guild, I think, has had a huge hand in that as well, and like connecting everybody and making it like a concentrated collective effort. So, yeah, there's some really amazing people who are kind of leading that charge to make sure that everybody is on the same team, and that we're not competing for audiences, that we're not competing. I mean, we're competing for awards more or less, but I don't know if you've been to the Orange County Theater Guild Awards yet. You
Yeah.
should go this year if you can. It's a really cool event where just everybody comes together for like a night of celebration of excellence in theater in Orange County, and it's really special. So, yeah, there's a lot of that going around, and I appreciate you noticing that. I don't know if it's necessarily different down in Los Angeles. I don't venture down there quite as often as I probably should, but yeah,
Yeah, mostly up in LA for films, because I'm part of the Critics' Choice Association, and so in doing that and going back and forth, it's mostly film and television for that. And I was just like, we have theater in Orange County that doesn't get recognized, and obviously we have Newport Beach Film Festival, which I've been covering for a dozen years now. But when I realized that it was more than three theater houses in Orange County, I was like, all right, let's pay attention to our own neighborhood.
hmm yeah, that's really great. I'm glad that we're happy to have you. Welcome. It's
Thank you.
it's a good time out here.
I'm looking forward to seeing what quite a few of the theaters have here. I've been in contact with quite a few of them. Everybody's been great so far. Two haven't gotten back to me. One just for some reason doesn't like answering their phone or returning emails, so we'll see. But other than that, everybody else has been great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with everything that's coming about, the show coming in March, what sets Larking House apart from some of the other theaters? And what also do you guys want to see, or what do you enjoy seeing from other or playhouses?
That's a good question. It forces me to be a little bit introspective. I don't know. I think that's something that, like, I think I said this earlier, where I think that there's just like a really, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question for me to answer, because I think that there's so many things that make us special. One of them being obviously like the physical circumstances of the way that we operate. But also I think just like the diversity of like our collective. We have so many different kinds of people here. We're all pretty young. We're scrappy, and we're kind of like like what we do here under those circumstances is like kind of crazy. Like I have to say, like people tell me all the time, like, you're kind of crazy for that. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I am. But I wouldn't, I think we're just pursuing something bigger than ourselves. And people notice stuff like that. We're very much invested in uplifting and kind of pushing the envelope for what audiences are willing to go out and spend money to see here. Um, we did a show. I mean, we did The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, which is a play that has been done on like entire like blocks, like a street, like a huge street. It's been done with casts the size of a small town. And we took it and Matthew Hayashi, who is also the director, adapted the script down to 13 people, and we put it in a space that's less than 1,000 square feet. So, and we did it successfully, and it was a production that a lot of people really enjoyed. So, and it's just stuff like that, you know. We aren't afraid to make people uncomfortable in our space, and which is something that I think people are really interested in. Um, we aren't afraid, we don't shy away from things that might be controversial. The Party Clown is a prime example of that. It's actually crazy because I'm like, wow, this is somehow the most going to be the most controversial piece that we've produced yet. And we did Abyss, which was a show last year where we literally it was we had one actor cut into another actor on stage and eat his liver in front of the audience. So,
All right.
like, we just keep finding it. Isn't that's crazy, right? That sounds crazy. And the audience is like 2 feet away from it. But yeah, we just continue to like really kind of we carve out our own space in this community in ways that continue to surprise me, I think continue to surprise others. And I'm honestly, I think we're just grateful to be here. As far as what was the second half of your question? You asked me like what
Uh,
you want,
so,
I want other
so,
people to
so
do.
like, no, for yourself. So like, you guys do some controversial things, some, you don't shy away from uncomfortable aspects of theater, and sometimes theater needs to be uncomfortable. What's also something you enjoy when you visit another theater house and go,
Mm.
oh, I kind of like that they put this on. It doesn't fit for us necessarily, but this is a great fit for them, and this is what I like to see outside of what we're producing.
Yeah, I love going into other theaters and sitting in the air conditioning. Number one. I love that. It's not in my house. But I think that there's other theaters that are also doing some really interesting things. Like I love going to see shows at the Curtis because of how like accommodating the space is, and also like sometimes I want that separation in many many different ways. Not everybody wants to be 2 feet away from somebody getting their liver eaten. And I think that there is
Right, this
joy.
was the Christmas show. I get it.
Yeah, well, we did a sustained release was a very sad show that we did over Christmas time, and my mom will never stop complaining about how sad it was. So, you know, we don't really care about some stuff like that. But we yeah, I love going to other playhouses and seeing like I see a lot of shows at Costa Mesa Playhouse. And I love their space too. There's something really kind of like cinematic about the way that they do shows there that I really really enjoy. Their proscenium is a little bit different. The space feels quieter than other theaters. Um it doesn't feel quite so gritty, even though that's the theater that I like to produce, is like gritty, kind of dirty, in your face, scary theater. But yeah, I like going to see other spaces and the way that they kind of like make their mark on certain things. Just because it's the not the way that I would do it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going to see that. I love a musical. I love Legally Blonde. I wish more people would do it. I love a good I love a good Disney musical. I grew up listening to all of that stuff and wanted to go into musical theater initially as like my major and then switched to directing halfway through. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it totally does, and I'm glad because, we need different perspectives out there. Like, for example, I don't get easily offended, but I'm also a deeply religious man.
Mm.
So, I can see something like what's going on at your show in March and go, okay, this isn't my sensibility, but I understand what the artist is putting forward and can separate the two because one is art and one is my reality. So the two don't have to overlap, especially when I know I'm not the target demographic.
Right. And I think there's also something to be said about like actively going to see things that maybe don't necessarily suit like your sensibilities and being able to appreciate like like the work that went into it. You know, like you can go and watch a show and just be like, wow, this was a really great set. Hated the script, but the acting was really good. Like I think that if I mean art is there and theater specifically is there to challenge people and to make people think about humanity differently. And you know, there's so many different, oh my God, there's so many plays out there. I mean, that and it's not to say like there's not other controversial things happening or like other bold work happening in Orange County. I mean, Costa Mesa Playhouse just did How I Learned to Drive, which is I don't know if you've seen How I Learned to Drive or read it, but it's not like an easy show to watch. It is a hard show to digest, but it kind of is in a similar vein to the Party Clown in a lot of ways where it's like the topic is and some of the themes like explored in that show are like really tough to grapple with. However, it's actually like a really funny show at its core. And I don't know, there's just there you don't get to experience like a lot of there's not a lot of experiences in the world that like give you all of that, like all those that range of emotion. So like in such a concentrated way. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really like theater, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so
I can tell you weren't a TV kid.
I was totally a TV kid.
Okay.
I actually played sports my whole life.
Oh, which sports? Because I announced college sports.
Oh, I played softball, basketball growing up, and actually didn't pivot into theater until really into until I was in college. So yeah, it was a good time. I love baseball. Go Dodgers.
You know where you live, right?
I'm not gonna root for the Angels. Are you joking?
Yeah. I'm just
I'm
saying for convenience.
yeah, well, I don't love being sad all the time. Sorry.
Then you couldn't have easily been a Cubs or Red Sox fan because
No.
they were miserable for well over 100 years.
Yeah, well, being a Dodgers fan like maybe 5 years ago, 5, 10 years ago wasn't like the greatest thing in the world, but it is right now, and that's all I care about.
Right.
Yeah.
And Otani's making $700 million just for a
Yeah.
7-year contract. Yeah. I would do the same thing and defer as well. I was like, all right, I'll pick it up at the
Well,
end of my career.
yeah, truly,
Yeah.
truly.
You mean I have to live off this measly, peddly $1 million a year till I retire? Oh, how terrible. Come
Yeah,
on.
no, it's so crazy how much money they're paying him, but you know what? He's gonna make it back for them in merch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just look at the Dodgers list of giveaways this year.
Oh yeah.
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 I
It's
think I think they got like 3 bobbleheads just to him.
Yeah. He's like one of the most sold jersey. Like his jersey is one of the most like w is one of the most sold jerseys worldwide of all time. And
Yeah.
he's like barely 30 years old.
Mhm.
It's so crazy. He hasn't been playing for that long. So
And he's a very nice guy
anyway.
too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How
Like when I
funny.
got to meet him, he was very kind, very, down to earth. Like you didn't expect like the millionaire vibes of like, I play baseball, you owe me the world. Like he wasn't that guy.
Yeah, I've heard only good things about him,
And people fly
which
in
makes me so
from
happy because
Japan when he's
I just
pitching.
adore that man.
Yeah. No, but people will fly in from
Yeah.
Japan just to
Yeah.
watch him pitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what?
he's huge
Not
over
that
there.
dedicated.
Oh man, that's
I'm
so
like, I
funny.
gotta drive up a hill in LA? Come on, man. These people are like, no, we flew to LAX, the worst airport on the face of the planet.
Just to see this guy throw one pitch. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was like, they're way more dedicated than I am.
Yeah.
So now at this point, we're going to do the Lou Gehrig story at some point at Larking House, just so we can throw baseball in there.
Hey, don't, you know what? I would do it.
Listen, you can pull it off. Why not?
I bet we could pull off anything. I'm convinced that the Larking House it can do anything. We can do anything.
Yeah. With the shows being inside the garage primarily, doesn't that give it an extra punk rock indie feel that makes it just that much more rebellious?
Yes. Yes. That's that is the truest answer that I can give to you is yes. It feels very rebellious the way that we operate. I would like it logistically to maintain that spirit while also moving into a more traditional space, just for like the sake of growth, because we are rapidly growing as an organization. And I want to continue to expand and be able to move into new realms of possibility. And the space and the circumstances that we're operating under currently are just very limiting in a lot of ways. So we are looking to move into different avenues. We continue to grow as far as like numbers go. We have our resident artist program grows every year. And yeah. So I love the garage. It's a lawless place. That's what I always call it. So there's like so many rules and also no rules at all. And so it really has pushed me into a new realm of like artistic expression, and has forced me to be a better creator because of how challenging it is to deal with in there. Um, and the ultimate question is like, how do you make a garage feel like a theater? And the answer that I have come up with is you just treat it like one. You treat it like a theater.
I love it. That's the best answer that we could end this on. The Party Clown, a new work by Olivia Carter, premieres on March 27th, running through April 5th, directed by Coleman Blue Summers. Congratulations on everything. TheLarkingHouse.com. Where can we find you on social media if we want to connect?
Just our name. Our handle is the Larking House. And we're very responsive. Follow us. We would love to meet you.
Lizzy, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great to get to chat with you today.